the Calgary Ivey Alumni Association, in cooperation with the Ivey School of Business, proudly present the 2013 Award for Leadership to extraordinary leader and influencer, Mac Van Willingen.
I think an influencer is someone who can share a perspective or a viewpoint with others in a way that allows them to question it, to evaluate it, and eventually to buy in.
And the most effective influencers are those ones that do it from the heart.
Mac would look at it and say, we all are influencers, and we all can be positive influencers.
But I think the kind of influence we're talking about with Mac is where you have gained an insight into something, you have a vision of something that maybe other people don't see as clearly.
Mac somehow has this way about him where he can combine important values that are vital for, I call it, emotional health of an organization, with the very hard side, which is for an organization to sustain itself, it needs to be profitable.
Well, Mac is the type of individual that is always looking to help someone else be better.
And I think it's a transformational level of leadership when you can influence at that level.
He's a mentor to so many people, and I think he loves that. He loves working with people to allow them to pursue their passions.
The things that Mac instilled in me and that I was able to carry on into the ARC Resources organization was the importance of culture. Culture overrides everything, relationships, and the opportunity to build strong, enduring, lasting relationships that you want.
From early on, I think Mac has always valued his relationships.
Mac and I have been friends since we were about 5 years old. I do think that it speaks to Mac's success in creating the corporate culture that he's created here at ARC, because a lot of those foundations, and I know this through many discussions over the years, is based on trust and loyalty. It's not faked, and when it isn't faked. With Mac and with Susan, his wife, when you are with them, you're the most important people in the world. They are engaging. They're so interesting because they're so full of life and interested in so many things. And so when you take that into the characteristics of a leader, I think that you'll find that those characteristics are endemic in probably all great successful leaders.
John Hammergren, who runs one of the Fortune 50 companies, he talked about culture, and he said, some people think execution beats strategy every time, but I think culture beats execution every time.
He knows that success for the organization only comes with success for the individuals, and anything he can do to make that happen, whether it's mentoring, he leads by example, but he's the quietest leader you'll ever see, and very much a distinguished gentleman.
ARC has been like a living lab in a sense for how effective this cultural kind of orientation and leadership style can be. I mean, the proofs, if it was just a theory, that would be one thing, but it's more than a theory. It's actually been 25 years in the making, and the company has been enormously successful.
Mac would never think of himself as wise, but he would say that he has a high level of emotional intelligence. And maybe that's the terminology, maybe that's the kind of today's wisdom, is having that ability to emotionally connect with people.
And clearly, if you're authentic and you communicate clearly and you have trust and you've got a good culture, then you significantly improve your probability of being successful.
I think at the end of the day, what you'll see with Mac come through is the sort of the integrity, the commitment, the belief, the passion for what this all means and how important it is for society and for business to in a sense get a better perception in the public eye.
I think it's really important for successful leaders to share their stories and inspire others, but it's even more important for them to walk the talk. And I think that is something that Mac really does. When he talks about trust in the workplace, it's because he truly trusts the people that he works with, and he develops that level of trust. And when he talks about the importance of employee engagement, it's not because it's just a buzzword, but it's because he really feels the importance of his employees being engaged.
The underlying point in all the work that he does in leadership and in influence is to ask people to consider what their real underlying purpose is. Is it to help others, or is it to help yourself?
The most important thing that I learned as I was trying to become a leader, and I will never be the leader that Mac has been, but I do try to impart a lot of what I've learned from Mac to everybody that certainly within the ARC organization when I was CEO and in whatever mentorship role I have. And it doesn't matter whether it's in business, whether it's in family, whether it's in a not-for-profit, whatever. And that is that people are the most important asset.
You know, as Mac and I have talked about a number of times, you know, it would be hard to have this supportive culture if we weren't successful. And I think I've heard other people listen to Max talk and say, but, you know, what about the hard work part of it? And those are critical parts of it. I think you could have a great culture, but if you didn't also have all the requisite skills to be successful in the business that you're in, and all the disciplines and all the processes and all the hard work, that's probably not sustainable either.
I think the circumstances that he found himself in, you know, created a certain amount of wealth and respect from, you know, business watchers, and that combination is what sort of raises the eyebrows and makes people say, oh wow, you know, you can actually be successful and make good people-oriented decisions on the way through. I think that's the magic of where Mac finds himself.
Ultimately, if you have the fundamental principles of really knowing where you want to be taking the organization and knowing how to build to encourage and develop the best from your people, you will be successful. It doesn't matter what industry you're in.
People don't achieve the level of success that Mac has on a short-term gain. You know, it was decades. And to be successful over that time period, you need to operate in an ethical, and you need to make the right kind of decisions. You need to build the right kind of relationships, and those are only going to be effective and foundational and supportive if you build them in an honest way.
I've developed over the years just tons of respect for Mac, and he has influenced me. He has. I think he's helped me bring out a bit more of the, you know, the humanistic side.
As I grew as a leader over at ARC Resources, that's one of the things I really focused on with Mac was, you know, you're always consistent, tone at the top, whatever you want to say it. It's not like, which way is the wind blowing today, that's the way we're going to go. It was never any of that. It didn't matter whether you had a big tailwind or fighting the strongest headwind ever. You always knew what to expect. And that's what people want. And, you know, I honestly don't think I've ever met anyone better than Mac at that. And Mac will tell you that you know, we're probably giving him way too much credit than is deserved. And as much I'd like to agree with him on that, no, he deserves all the credit. And this recognition by the Ivey School of Business, I think, is well deserved. You know, if you want a thought leader for yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Mac's the guy.